hosting us. We were in need of a place to have a meeting and they answered our call. We have approval of minutes from September 9th is first up. I have a motion to approve those as written.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion necessary or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Reports. I didn't get anything from Green Allies. Mark, you're up with Park.
So this is an overview of our September meeting on the 24th. As you can see, there's the treasury report. And then one other interesting thing that wanted to bring to everybody's attention, because Park became a foundation there a couple years ago, 501c. They have different filing requirements for taxes and reporting and whatnot. And so they did, looked into that, and because the Bureau of Charitable Organizations requires you to file for accountability, like a financial statement. So what I'm saying here, only needed to submit reports consisting of statement of financial position, activity, and cash flows for income less than 750K. Well, they were like 100 and some thousand or something for the year. So what they had to do, because of the financial thing, had to have all the municipalities okay those reports, and they were generated through QuickBooks. So it's just something that we had to sign off on, and then they get reported to this Bureau of Charitable Organizations. Just wanted everybody to be aware of that. Montgomery County, Chester County, those planners were in attendance. The planners report pretty much what she's been working on amongst other things, and I know she's been working with you some, Greg, too. So volunteer events, from what I understand, Lower Pottsgrove had a great Empower Your Park event at Ringing Rocks. They had a few people show up to clean up the trails and whatnot. Old business, they talked about coordination for the pop-up event for Park. I wasn't able to go, but you were able to go.
I missed the hole in one by that much. Tricia got the only hole in one.
The whole day.
She won something like gift card.
Okay. Did they have a good group like last time?
Less than last year probably. I would say there's 25 people there.
Okay.
But we had a good time. It was great weather.
Yeah, the weather was really nice.
So, and they're gonna do it again next year.
Yeah, and they talked about maybe moving it up into the spring or something next year versus so
Right.
kind of late.
It was perfect weather though.
Yeah, it's hit and miss sometimes.
And they're gonna redo the course after the season
Oh,
this
okay.
year.
Okay,
So, which would be the first time it's been done since it's been open.
redo the,
All the greens. And I
Okay.
hope to make the cups easier.
okay, yeah. They
They're tough,
Yeah,
man.
they do, they have a lip on. So, it sounds like that was another good event. The logo is still under discussion. We've decided to pull that back in-house, and it's pretty close. I think this next meeting here in October, it will get finalized, or maybe by the end of the year, I'm sure it'll be finalized. Still talking to Montgomery County Senior Games, gonna have somebody in, make a presentation on us. Strategic plan, where we're at with that is, last month was discussion of demographics data for the area, and then we're gonna lead into goals and objectives the next couple of months. So that's highlights on that. I found this interesting. Michael Linhart there at Pottstown wanted to discuss playground installation, and he was just throwing that out to all the municipalities on how they've handled the integration of installing new playground equipment with an engineer or a supplier, and the hurdles he's done that a couple times in the parks. He's got quite a few parks in the area that he's rehabbed over the last couple years, and every park, there's always an issue with, and I guess what it centers around a lot, which I thought we'd bring it up to the group whenever we decide to revamp some stuff, or when we get to, Homebach, that, like they had to change the height of the fall requirements of the playground equipment requires you so much depth of, soft material below and that elevation and who's responsible for it is like a real stickler. And it always seems to get lost in the wash, so to speak. And then also who's responsible for coordinating everything. So it was a really good discussion on the pitfalls of if you have the certified supplier install the playground equipment, or if you have a third party, or, you know, who's responsible for it in the day of, the correct installation of equipment. So I learned a lot through that. I thought it was fascinating.
Tricia's a certified playground inspector.
Oh, okay,
And so any questions I've ever had, she can answer them pretty quick.
okay. He's had some pain, I guess. So, and then the other thing, that I wanted to mention, you had asked, if I asked the group, what was that group? Open Space Planning Assistant Program, if any, nobody, and they all looked at me like, what is that?
Huh?
They all did that. Kathy was the only one there who said, well, it's,
We have the Montgomery County Planning Commission when we
Well,
had a planning
we
assistance
used to have
contract.
the county
Yeah.
open space used to come to our meetings, and I was curious how many other municipalities used them. Nothing.
none in the
Wow,
corner.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, they were all like looking at me like, what is that?
What are you
program?"
talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
That's
Mark?
probably because their parents found out it costs money. So
That's
why
right.
they're not in it.
That's probably what they decided not to do.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually carry that note.
And then the other thing you asked me to talk to the group about was, turf management plan. So, threw that out, sounded like Pottstown has one, or they're tweaking the one they have, trying to get something in place. It was either North Coventry or East Country,
I know North Coventry has, I think it's a hayfield, but no, they have one.
They
Because
had-
we actually modeled ours on theirs.
Okay, and Jay's biggest guidance there was, just the overall management of it and the effectiveness of communicating to the guys that are actually doing it, why it's done the way it is. Otherwise, they're like, oh, we need to cut that again, and like, no, that grass is designed to grow this height, and then we cut it at 5 inches, or whatever the plan requires, but he said that was the biggest difficulty he had, was convincing the guys who are actually doing the mowing how to effectively implement that. And so that's the biggest thing, but nobody else really
Huh.
had any comment other, oh no, yeah, it was Jay and Michael there, so.
I would think North Coventry is probably the only one that have as much mowable, shall I say, grass as us.
Right.
But when we start to implement ours, Public Works is gonna be the centerpiece of it. I mean,
That's right.
you tell them, you know, this is what it's gonna be, and that's what it's gonna be, so.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hand that out later if we have time, and they can implement that. They got all winter to figure out, you know, what we can cut back on or change.
Right.
So if we have time, we'll go over that yet tonight.
So, those are the two things you asked me.
Great, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions for Mark? Thanks for that, Mark.
You're welcome.
My report, I don't know how many people know this, contractor Arbor Metrics is working for Med Ed to mark trees for removal. They're painting a big red X on the tree, and they're mostly dead ash trees. If a tree cannot be reached or marked, you'll see blue flagging placed on brush in the vicinity of where the tree is. They say they're gonna be starting to cut trees down in late November. There's no cost to residents or municipalities. I didn't send you this, did I? I can.
What, the chair?
Oh, did I? Yeah, I did, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing, they marked a big red X on an ash tree on my property, and it decided Sunday not to wait for the tree guy, and it fell and it knocked my wires down. But Med Ed was out, and I can't say enough about those guys. Within 3 hours from the time we called, they had the wire put back up and turned us back on. There was a drainage project going on in Cherry Tree Farms, and it produced some decent sized boulders there along Hanover Street at Hollenbach Park. And due to revisions in that plan, which we'll talk about later, we found a place to use them for retaining walls, so that's why they're there. There's a new tree threat now, since emerald ash borer has almost killed all our trees. Now we have beech tree leaf disease. It can be fatal to an affected tree. The treatment is the same, maybe a different chemical, but you have to inject the roots, and it's not economically feasible to do large quantities, so beech trees are the next ones that are gonna be
Yeah,
down.
I think I had my beach tree.
Did it affect yours already? I have a couple, but I didn't look
No,
yet.
this year, I saw the leaves start dying, I was wondering what was going on.
For any of you who know where the Roman orchards are, right here in Lower Pottsgrove Township on Bleam Road, I went to high school with the Romans. They farmed up there for 50 or 60 years. They finally made a deal with a developer to build a bunch of homes in the back, I think 50 to 75 homes, but they're gonna be very expensive homes.
I heard
Yeah.
27.
How
I
many?
heard 27.
Oh, 27, maybe I'm
That
wrong.
came from Rochelle.
Okay, then that would be right. They're gonna be nice ones though.
Yeah.
I thought they were like
You won't see,
million,
you won't see them.
$1 million plus homes. The Romick family kept 10 acres where the orchard building is along Bleam Road there. So the houses are gonna be on the other side of the hill, like if you're going down Bleam Road. Archery hunting season has begun. Mark, I guess, did you get any complaints, or did you hear anything from Matt?
No, I haven't talked to him recently.
And I guess people came in for applications, or that was done
That was
earlier in the year?
Yeah,
Okay.
they had to be in by the middle
Okay.
or
So that started September 20th, and the schedule's in here, and it finishes, it takes a break after Christmas, and then it goes to January 24th. Any questions? Next thing on the agenda, it was suggested to me that we come up with an official name for the garden operated by Green Allies at Trout Farm. So there's some sample names here and a description for signage of, so people that don't know what it is do after they read this sign. So this is gonna be homework. You guys hang on to this, give it some thought, and we'll discuss it next meeting. Old business, Michelle, you have a updated Gilbertsville Road crossing?
Yeah. So, Chester Valley Engineering will be, has agreed to do the engineering for that project, with the amount that was allotted in the grant application. So, we'll list that on the agenda for the board approval, hopefully on Monday, provided I get the quote by that time. So Al from Chester Valley is working with Tricia on that. And, if we don't get it approved this month, it'll definitely be approved in October at the board meeting, or November, I'm sorry.
Been a long time coming. Thanks for following up on this. There's been delay after delay after delay, and finally with this step now, with Chester Valley getting involved, it's gonna move forward. Thanks, Michelle. Updates to Hollenbach Park Master Plan. Al had been working on the MPDES permits, and, you know, when we made the plan up there, everything was done on paper. We didn't own the Stewart property, right? We knew we wanted to put the golf course, we knew we wanted to put the walking trail. So they did the best they could, but all the surveying and engineering work is done. So there were certain things that were discovered that makes it so some changes were necessary. And Al sent me a PDF, I apologize, Chuck was gonna bring it on his laptop, and that didn't happen, and I was originally planning to show it on the big screen in our meeting room. So these are the changes at the top, and in the bottom is the reasons for the changes. So I don't know that we need to go over them here, maybe we can talk about this later in the future when we have a big map. Did anybody have any, I couldn't print the PDF because it's too big, it would need to be like a 30 inch plan. So, did anybody have any questions on what's written down here? I mean, it's hard to really go over without looking at it. The one thing I would say, that the trail, it used to be a loop, a circular loop, but it can't be anymore because of the grade changes. So it basically starts at the parking lot where the new pavilion's gonna be, and it goes around, and it stops short of connecting with itself. But it actually does connect, but it's part of the golf course. It has like a carpet that they use to walk between the tees, but it's not designed for like through traffic, if you will.
Where do they identify the wetlands?
Pardon?
Where do they identify the wetlands? Behind the Stewart property?
I'm sorry.
The wetlands identification
Yeah.
area, what was that?
They're on, they have them shown on the PDF, but they had to adjust a couple holes, right? The wetlands can be there, you just can't encroach on them or build on them. So they relocated the holes so they can leave the wetlands alone.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where the golf,
Pardon?
the disc golf gonna be in that area, right?
Sorry, I can't do better, that's kind of all I have to work with right now.
But they're leaving the property for potential soccer fields or whatever.
Yeah, that's not part of this phase at all, nothing's gonna be touched there. But we have enough money to do phase one, and I talked to Al today and I said, so how much more dirt do we need? There's a big pile of dirt there, right? Well, we need that plus 350 dump trucks of dirt.
Wow.
So we need to come up with that, and I said we wanna get this started, we wanna get it out to bid and clean up Hollenbach Park, right? We have all this stuff saved to use, dirt, millings, boulders, let's get them placed. So hopefully in the spring, I think the permit just needs to be finalized and we can put it out to bid. Like I said, we have enough money to cover it before we get, and in the meantime, Trish is gonna look into funding for the next phase,
Okay.
which would be the pavilion, the parking lot, and the golf course would be all the next one. The permitting is done for them all.
So this would be just like the rough grade of everything would be the next phase?
I don't know that they're gonna go outside the scope of the trail, but Al tells me they can construct the course with the trail there. I don't think there's like a lot of excavation for the golf course, you know? It's, I've never seen one built, but it's not like you need bulldozers to do it. You know, they're after the natural look. Okay, that was basically for information only. I think we have enough time to cover this quick. I'd like to go over the turf classifications that we talked about last time, but I didn't know that I would have time to get them on the agenda, so I didn't put them on there. I'd like a motion for somebody to make, that we can discuss the turf classifications.
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. Basically, I'm just gonna hand this out. It has every open space property that we own on there. And the ones that require mowing have a classification on there now. And that's what it is for this year, and they're all ones, which is mowed, fine mowing, except for Prop Farm has a 2, and that's the trail. So, I would say this would be more homework. Take this with and see if you agree with the classifications that I put down there. And we'll discuss it next time, and then we could give this to Public Works officially and say, okay, this is what we have this year, right? And I'm wondering, you know, where can we save some mowing that it would be beneficial, you know, economically and for aesthetically, you know? And if you look, it tells you how long it takes to cut grass. It takes 10 hours to cut Hollenbach Park, you know? So that's 3 guys all day, and this happens every week in the summer. So, you know, could we save maybe by not doing the ends of the soccer fields, maybe part over in Turnberry? I don't know the logistics, because you don't wanna not cut something and then not be able to cut it when it needs to be cut annually, following our turf plan, so. But if you guys would just wanna think about that, putting that in your homework, and then we'll talk about it again and see if you agree with my classifications. If you see an X, right, in the year, that means there's no grass, and most of them say unimproved, some of them say leased for farming, right? So those, I put them on here so there was no confusion, like this is every property we own unless I missed. This is, I can send you this, Michelle, this is not gonna be on the inventory I'm working on, because we have so many properties that don't have things on them. I wasn't gonna include them.
You know, we may, I mean, if we're mowing them, we should include them, I guess, but maybe not.
Well, all the mowing stuff is on here, and stuff
Okay.
that doesn't get mowed has the X.
Okay,
What I meant when I'm doing the inventory, I'm only inventorying parks that have, like say the Warner property. There won't be an inventory sheet for that because there's nothing there.
correct.
Okay, so that, the listing won't actually jive with that, but
That
this,
makes sense.
these numbers, these correspond with the township map we have that has the numbers on them. So it's easy to identify where, you know, where the property is, and you can be sure when you're talking about the right one. Okay?
So Greg, those small properties, this is unimproved?
That's, I don't know what to write there, that's what
Okay,
I wrote.
is there any possibility of further leasing that out in the future, like farming?
I guess, I don't know.
Okay.
I guess that's above my pay grade. But that's what I wrote for now, because I didn't know what else to write here. Because I guess it's not being farmed, Michelle, right?
Not
Right,
currently.
small one. Okay. Board comment. The only comment I have again is to thank Lower Potts Grove Township for use of the facilities. Sure?
I'd also like to thank them for letting us use the building.
That's it? Mark?
Yeah, same.
No? Gary?
Nothing.
No? Public comment? Seth?
Yeah, my name is Seth Thomas. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm a foreman down at Lansdale Borough Parks and Rec. I live over on Moyer Road. I'm neighbors with Chuck. Chuck Klowski, you guys know him. But anything you guys need, and I'm not on the board, but I'm a small wealth of resources in Montgomery County. I have ties with the Open Space Board. I have a ton of certifications under my own belt. I'm head of conservation where I'm at, so I also was for a short period of time CPSI for playgrounds. The list could go on, but if you guys need anything, I can give you guys my email. Feel free to reach out, anything.
I appreciate it. We'll talk in the future. I had some ideas. Seth was the guy that reached out about farming.
Yes, What's your last name?
Thomas, THOMAS.
Thank you.
Okay, we see no more public comment, then I'm gonna say, we're gonna go into executive session with no action to follow. So I thank everybody for coming.